Okay, so what are we looking at? I want us to kind of just take this a little slow. So be ready to pause or rewind if you want. If you have run-on sentences, you are incorrectly joining independent clauses. Now, what's an independent clause? It's basically a statement. You're joining two statements together, sort of like having a traffic jam of sentences. The best way I've thought of communicating this is imagine if you had a huge text from somebody, a big old text, and it's sort of like, dang, I can't tell where one sentence starts and which one is going to end. So you got to just kind of decide, oh, I need to first figure out where does one statement start and when one does end. And that's really how you're going to learn to fix a run-on. So basically right there is the key. And what we need to know first is what makes an independent clause or a sentence. That's basically what an independent clause is. You need a subject and a verb, and it can stand on its own. This is like stuff you really know deep inside. It's just sometimes obvious, right? A subject and a verb. Okay, so before I move forward with this, I want us to figure out what does that look like in an example. So I'm going to give you an example. So what we have here is a statement. The boy ran to the store. Now remember, every independent clause, any statement that can stand on its own, needs a subject and a verb. What's the subject here? The subject is the boy. So I like to just mark that with an S. Where's the verb? Ran. Okay. And then we need a complete idea, which kind of completes the statement, and that's to the store. So that's C, SVC. Now here's your formula for recognizing a complete independent statement or independent clause. SVC, subject, verb, complete idea. The truth is right here, we are done. You can put a period right there. Now, usually when I help students, this is where they're like, well, that's short. That's too short. That must be wrong. And this has to do with maybe sometime in elementary or high school, because this happened to me, where I'm writing short sentences and all of a sudden teachers like giving me a lower grade because they want me to write more or longer sentences. And they really didn't teach me how to. And so I ended up just thinking short sentences are bad, and which means I just need to like join more sentences together and make it really wordy and really long. And the truth is there's nothing wrong with this sentence. Absolutely nothing. You have a subject, you have a verb, and you have a complete idea. What happens with the run-on is we get another independent statement that is joined here without the proper punctuation. So what we have is the boy ran to the store, he bought milk. And then someone does this, puts a period in. Now you have a run-on. Why? Go back to your definition. A run-on is two joined independent statements incorrectly. And an independent statement is SVC, subject, verb, complete, idea. Do we have another independent statement here? Yes, we do. He is the subject. Bought, verb, milk, complete idea. We have a SVC. So we have incorrectly joined these. Now, this means that you can separate these, right? Most people would say, well, just put a period right there. That fixes the run-on, and that's correct. Okay. The other option is comma, and that's what some people do, and that's not correct. Why? A comma, people use commas like a period in Spanish and in other languages, but I mostly see it from Spanish-speaking people because it's actually okay to do that in Spanish. And so it becomes a habit of just using commas as a period. And actually in English, we don't. You'll need to add something to the comma. You could do the word and. You could do the word but. You could do the word so. These are called connecting words or coordinating conjunctions, which I don't like that. It's so sophisticated. It's a connecting word. If you do a comma plus a connecting word, you're good. You're good to go. You're golden. It's not a run-on. You've just joined two independent statements right here with this. This is like the link to the whole thing. But if you do not have a connecting word, you have a run-on. Simple as that right there. Okay, guys? So that's basically the rules on run-ons. Now I would like us to go back here and just review this real quick. Here's another example. This is a run-on. How do we know? We have two independent statements joined together incorrectly. Here, where's your subject in this first part? I. Where's your verb? Worked. Where's your complete idea? All weekend on my assignment. That's an independent statement. It should stand on its own. It's not yet standing on its own because we see this right here. Do we have another independent statement? Where's the subject? My teacher. Where's the verb? Gave. Where's the complete idea? Me and A. That is an independent statement. That's an independent statement. And remember, when we join independent statements too much, we get a big fat text message and we don't know what's going on. And so or traffic jam is another way I call it. Let's look at this one. This is also a run-on. Wait a minute, these are the same exact words. How is this any different? Well, this is fused together. There's no comma, but there's still two independent statements. That means it's a run-on. How do we fix this? You got four options, four ways to fix a run-on, which I love. There's not one way to do this. Option one, if you know you've got two independent statements, split them up. That's a simple, quick option. Again, nothing wrong with having short sentences. Option two, use a comma and a connecting word to correctly join them. How did this person do it? There it is. Comma plus connecting word is okay and fixes a run-on. Option three, use a semicolon. Now this is the mysterious semicolon. Obviously, I would say use it sparingly, but it only works when the two statements are related to each other in the idea. This would not work if someone did, I worked all weekend on my assignment, semicolon, President Trump and Joe Biden are running for office. I mean, there's just no connection. So you only use a semicolon when the ideas are connected with each other. All right, lastly, reword the whole sentence, which is not really rewording everything. You're just shifting the beginning part here using a subordinate phrase or word. I'm going to explain this real quick. You can keep a comma here, but you can't keep a comma here alone. And the only difference, what comes before the subject. Because. A comma keeps the sentence going. A period does not. Because I worked all weekend on my assignment, you really can't stop yet. That's why you need a comma. It wouldn't make sense if you had a period there, right? It'd be like, and what else? So because I worked all weekend on my assignment, comma, and this is the independent statement. This is no longer independent. That's why you can't use a period. It cannot stand on its own. It's now dependent. You've created a dependent statement, comma, independent statement that completes the whole thing. This is fine. This is what we're doing up here is subordinate clauses. So if you use any of these guys, these words, you can create a dependent statement and keep a comma. Here's an example. Since I worked all weekend on my assignment. Again, you can't stop. You got to keep going. My teacher gave me an A. All right. Hopefully this is so far so good for you. Let's practice. Look at this. What do we got? A run-on. How do we know? Subject, verb, complete idea. Subject, verb, complete idea, but they're joined incorrectly. How do we fix that? Remember your 4 choices? I'm going to pick 1. Period. I had to go shopping last night. Period. I didn't have anything for dinner. Done. Fixed. Option 2. I had to go shopping last night, comma, and. And works. And, but, and so are your number 1 connecting words when you use it with a comma. So, and I didn't have anything for dinner. Let's see here. Option 3, semicolon. I had to go shopping last night, semicolon. I didn't have anything to eat for dinner. Why is that okay? Because they're related in idea. Option 4, reworded. Okay. Let's see here. Actually, you're going to have to take this, cut and paste it to the front. Basically, you're going to flip these 2 statements. Since I didn't have anything for dinner, comma, I had to go shopping last night, period. That can reword it. Where did I get the word since from? Well, it's that subordinating clause list, but the most common ones are because, although, if you have those on the front end, okay, comma, which is so popular. People use the word which to continue saying something like, I had to go eat dinner, comma, which I hated because of my vegan diet. But people need to keep the comma before the which. Don't put in which without a comma. All right, next practice. What's wrong with this one? It's fused. There's 2 independent statements. Subject, verb, complete idea. Subject, verb, complete idea. We need something right here in the middle. What can you put in? You got 4 options. Option 1, period. Split them up. Period. Option 2, comma and a connecting word. There is nothing to watch on TV, comma, so I'm going to put in a movie. Semicolon works. Rewording. On the front of this, you could add, because there's nothing to watch on TV, comma, I'm going to put in a movie. All right. So far, so good. Now you can hit pause here if this is good enough for you to practice. I'm going to take you to some real, not real, but these are generally essays from some of the students who wrote some run-ons, and I decided to go ahead and copy. I changed some of the words around so that, to protect privacy. But there's another one too I wrote for analytical or literary analysis essay, and these are good examples. So let's fix these together. They never called me regarding that, so I discarded the fact that she might have it. Okay, does that look like there's a run-on? No. Not every sentence you write is going to have a run-on. Just, be careful not to overthink. But then they asked me if I can take that same shift, and of course I declined to that and asked if they had any updates on the workers' possible COVID, but they never had an answer to that. So here's the run-on. We need to split this up. This is probably going to be 2 or 3 sentences. But then they asked me if I can take that same shift. And you notice here that there is an and, so we probably know that this could stand on its own. It's okay to join something though, but you don't want to join another thing after that, like 3 or 4. So we probably need to stop after this area. Of course, I declined to that. And there's another, so there it is. So this is where you can put the period. You don't need the and. Asked if they, well, we need a subject before the verb. Who or what is doing the asking? I. There, we just fixed that run-on. I asked if they had any updates on the coworkers possible COVID. Okay, there's a little typo there on the coworkers. We'll just take that out for now. This is my example for you anyways. Now we still have a run-on. Where's your 2 independent sentences? Part 1, part 2. What's the good news? You've got your coordinating, your connecting word. What are you missing? Your comma. Boom, you're done. You fixed it. Moving on. Let's try this one. Okay, where is this sentence really supposed to end here? I didn't think I was going to change my life at all and that everything was going to be fine and I could continue working on my goals and I had set for my year. Okay, they decided to stop here, but I think you could split this up into 2 sentences. I didn't think it was going to change my life at all. And, oh, there's your connecting word. Okay, so we have an independent statement. And that everything was going to be fine. Oh, there's another connect, and. So this is a really common thing too with run-ons is people start to create a chain reaction of and da-da-da-da, and da-da-da-da, and da-da-da-da. So you want to stop that. You can allow one and for 2 statements. After that, it's time to throw away any other ones and fix it with the period. I could continue working on my goals I had set for myself this year. That's perfect, nothing there. I was going to the gym every day and I got promoted. Okay, that's fine. So far, so good. And since I'm, okay, so there's the run-on right there, see? So you do have a run-on here because you have 2 independent statements with a connecting word, but not a comma. We have a subject, a verb, complete idea. And over here, we have a subject, verb, complete idea. Remember, it's comma and. This is the part where we gotta just stop and decide. End the sentence. Now remember, since is a subordinate word. It creates a dependent statement. So somewhere along the line, we're gonna need a comma. Since what? Da-da-da-da, comma. So since I'm a waiter on the side, so there's your independent statement. There's your dependent statement. Your dependent statement cannot stand on its own. It needs a comma to keep things going. Your independent statement's got to find a place to stop. Subject, verb, complete idea. Right here. Now this last bit, I think could stand on its own. What do we need? What do we already have? What makes an independent statement? Subject, verb, complete idea. Do we have a verb? Yep, having. Complete idea, good time. Subject missing. I was having. There we are, we fixed it. So this thing I think only had at the beginning 1 or 2 sentences. Now we have like 4. That's why run-ons are so important. It really helps pace people, figure out, okay, where's this idea going? Okay, this is the big one. For your literary analysis, you're not talking about yourself. You know, a narrative you are, but in literary analysis, you're talking about other things and other people and other ideas. And this is where you still can run into run-ons. Let's look at this one. So remember, subject, verb, complete idea. People took what? The implicit bias test to gauge their subconscious racism. The researchers behind the test admit it can't always do that. Sounds like there's two ideas going on here. Where is the first one? Right here. How do I know? Because this sentence has to do with the researchers. This sentence has to do with people. What do you think is needed right here? Period. That's all. You already have two complete statements. They just need to be separated. How about this one? In many research studies, the participants could not verify if they had implicit bias towards their customers, and they knowingly chose to disregard the needs of the client since they communicated their role to the clients using email. All right, there we go. That is a very common mistake right there. We know there's definitely two sentences here. In many research studies, the participants could not verify if they had implicit bias towards their customers, and they unknowingly chose. Oh, I'm starting to run out of breath. That's another sign. Okay. So this is where that statement kind of ends. I can definitely see it ends and another one starts. Now you can join two independent statements with an and if you've got comma. But after that, you better stop and use a period. Where are we going to use it? And they unknowingly chose to disregard the needs of the client since they. So this is a dependent statement. Okay. And this is an independent statement. If I hit stop right there, what happens? This looks good because the participants couldn't do this, they knew that, but this part does not feel complete at all. Since they communicated their role to their clients using email, what? It doesn't need a period there. Okay. So the option here is to connect it back into the previous statement with the comma. But then you've got to deal with this up here. You can't have a chain of comma this and that, comma this, comma since that. You want to keep it down to one. So I think this is the part where you just got to split it up and simplify it. There we go. They unknowingly chose to disregard the needs of the client since they communicated their role to the clients using email. That's clear. In many research studies, the participants could not verify if they knew if they had implicit bias towards their customers. Okay, we don't need that second if there. Last one. Participants could leave the study at any time they needed to indicate their preference. What's missing here? We have two independent statements joined by a comma. Option one, period. But since they're kind of related to each other, you can do option two, comma, and they needed to indicate their preference, which I believe is a better choice. And that ends it. Hopefully this was helpful to you. You can shoot me a message via Canvas or Pronto. And I hope this works for you. If you have questions or if you want to send me an example or a sample from your paper that you think, is this a run-on? Is that a run-on? I'd love to break it down with you. And I hope this helped. Thanks.